Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about a listing package and what's involved in getting your property on the market with an agency. So the first thing is the consumer information statement. Once again, this is required by the state of New Jersey in regards to how we're going to serve you in the capacity as for a seller. So two agencies I want to talk to you about is a seller's agency where we specifically only work for the seller, or a dual agency agreement, and that happens when we have a buyer within the office that also wants to buy a listing that we have within the office, and that situation creates a dual agency agreement. So those agencies can be discussed a little further with your agent once you meet with them, but those are the two different types of agencies that there are. Okay. The next thing is the actual contract, right? The residential exclusive listing agreement. Okay. And I'm just going to go over some of the important facts, important points in this. One is the time. So how long is this typically going to happen for? How long is the contract going to be in effect for? And typically for a home, to sell right now in northern New Jersey, they are selling fast, but between signing a contract and getting to the closing, it could be a few months. So typically these are going to be between 4 to 6 months. That's not uncommon whatsoever. And that's the whole time between getting the property on the market, getting it under contract, and taking it to closing. And the second thing that's important is how much the fee is going to be for service. In the state of New Jersey and most other states, it's fully negotiable. That's something you need to discuss with your real estate professional, how much they're going to charge for their services. And something new that came up is, are you going to also offer compensation to the buyer's agent? Okay, in the past, that was something that was assumed, but now it's specific that we have to be specific about how much is staying with the listing agency. So compensation is the second part of this contract, the listing agreement, that's important. And this is something you need to discuss with your agent, what the fee is that's going to be charged. Commissions are totally negotiable in the state of New Jersey and most other states. And something that's new now is how much you're going to offer to the buyer's agent, if any, for their compensation to cover their part. Okay, this is a new law that came into place in 2024, and we'll discuss why it's important to offer compensation to the buyer's agent when you get here. Okay, the rest of this talks about what our duties are going to be, what MLSs they're going to be in, what specific parts such as open houses are going to cover, and different things that are going to happen during the time period of marketing your property and all those sites. So those are discussions we'll have. Okay. The next form that's important to us over here is a property disclosure form. Okay. A property disclosure form is also a law now in the state of New Jersey. These used to be voluntary before, but now it's become law as of last year, 2024. And in here, it's going to ask you specific questions about what you know about the property. Age of the roof. Are there any leaks? Is there water in the basement? How's the furnace? Any other problems with any parts of the house that we should know about? Now, if you're unaware of these items, if you don't have no knowledge of them, there is a box here that it's unknown. You just have to check out unknown. But those items that you do know about, you should put in here. In most cases, when you get to a contract on a property and you're buying it, the buyer's going to have the right to do an inspection, a home inspection, and these items are going to come up anyway. So it's important that you fill this out as accurate as possible. Your agent is also going to sign it. If we're dealing with an estate, then we just go to the back page, which says you have no knowledge, it's an estate, you're just handling this closing. All right. So another form that's required besides the property disclosures form is a lead paint disclosure form. So any property built before 1978 has the possibility of having lead in it, and that was from the paints that were used back then for the windowsills, for the walls. So if your house was built before 1978, we're going to have to disclose whether we know about lead paint, if we had the house tested, or if we have any reports. And that information is given to the buyer prior to them making an offer on the house, because that's going to affect whether they need to do any repairs to this home afterwards to rectify the lead paint disclosure. Okay. Moving along over here, we have a waiver of broker cooperation form. So another thing that's happening now is a lot of properties, because there is a shortage of homes, are getting sold right within the agencies. And sometimes also it's not convenient for you as a seller to have a lot of people coming through your home. In that case, we would sign the waiver of broker cooperation form and also a non-dissemination boxes here in regards to giving information out to other brokers. Okay, so you can discuss with your professional if that's the way you want to market your home and that's the way you want to go, and that form would have to be required. Okay, another form here that has to be filled out and signed, once again, is how much compensation we're going to offer to the buyer's agency. We had discussed this prior in the first form, but there is a specific form here stating how much money will be offered to the buyer's agent, if any. Once again, this is something you'll discuss with your professional on what the advantages are offering commission out to another agency. And that really covers all the forms in a listing presentation. Of course, there's a lot more details here we can go into and questions you're going to have. So we welcome you to sit down with us and go over each one of these forms, but be prepared because in the state of New Jersey, there's a lot of forms we got to sign, but it's all to protect the consumer and to protect yourself. So nothing we can't get through. We look forward to making an appointment with you, getting you in the office, discussing all these forms, and getting your property listed. See you soon.